Hey everybody, welcome back to the Face Off Figures channel. My name is Aiden, and today I'll be taking a look at yet another Marvel Legends figure. This time it's on a character, and I know I kind of say this every time, that I find to be fascinating and quite unique, and he's a bit obscure when it comes to the heroes of the Marvel Universe. He is known as the greatest of the Space Knights. He is ROM. Yeah, I am very excited to talk about this guy. I know I kind of say it like once again every time I do review that, oh, this character is very interesting. There's so much history imbued with them. I'm not kidding when it comes to ROM, because ROM has a very cool history in terms of lore when it comes to comics, and especially when it comes to the toy that he was originally based on. I'm going to get into all that very shortly. But I just want to say that ROM is a part of the mini comic book wave that just came out around like a month ago. So Adam Warlock was in that same wave. ROM is there with him. I got ROM off of Amazon for retail price of $24.99. That's what the price is in the U.S. I'm not sure if it's changed since then, but you could get ROM off of your main retailer stores, mostly through online. I know GameStop definitely has them. I'm not sure if he's in stock, but if you're looking to get him from anywhere, I recommend GameStop or Amazon. You might have some luck there. But I've seen him kind of go in and out because he's been an incredibly popular figure right now because everyone's been wanting to get him. Not so much that I think that people know of the character, but how great this figure is. And I'm going to get into all that very shortly here. But first, let's take a look at the box. And so ROM comes on a blister card, as you can see here. I took the packaging bubble out because you can see the art, the comic art that is behind him. You got one little corner here. I can't really point out exactly which issue or if it came from like an annual of ROM, of where the art came from, but it looks awesome. I love it. You got ROM's name at the bottom here. It says comic accessory because that's where the comic was when it was still in the packaging. And then you got the original ROM Spaceknight logo there. And if we zoom up to the little corner here, I pointed this out in my last review with Adam Warlock. On like mostly like old comic books when they would have a little image of the character in the corner. Actually, I can just point out, like, look, this is ROM Annual 2. Literally have ROM in the corner, and then the price, what issue, date, all that good stuff. They're paying homage to that. I absolutely love that. You got ROM kind of in his pose of holding his neutralizer, but it says on the bottom there, number 1, and then Marvel Legends 1979, which is when ROM number 1 debuted. So that's really cool. I love that. I really like the colors on this box, especially with the ROM font or logo matches with the pink all around it. And then if we flip around to the back, we could see the rest of the figures for the wave. We have Banshee, ROM himself, Ultimate Miles Morales, Ultimate Iron Man, Adam Warlock, who I already did a review on previously, and then Dakin. And then you got a bigger image, if we zoom up, a bigger image of ROM number 1. Pretty cool cover. He looks a little different there than he does as his figure. He's much more blocky. You could definitely see his weapon, the neutralizer, looks different, but still a cool cover. Really like that quite a bit. And then there's a little bio here, if I zoom up a little closer. It says, in ROM number 1, the Space Knight ROM tracks the vile dire raves across the cosmos, arriving on Earth to continue his pledge to defeat them. Pretty cool. So yeah, that's basically it for the blister card, and as it falls over. And yeah, now let's take a look. Actually, let's get into the history of ROM himself. Okay, so I got a lot to say here. Bear with me. I'm going to try and explain this as easy as possible because I'm not kidding when I say that ROM does have a complex but intriguing story that spans not only fiction but also nonfiction. So the concept of the figure was that of an Egyptian mystic, believe it or not. It started out as that. It was created by Bing McCoy, and McCoy was having obviously no luck with that concept, so he decided to change the character to a cyborg who was originally named COBOL, after the programming language. Then, after being sold to Parker Brothers, a company known for selling board games at the time, he was renamed to ROM, and they redesigned his look quite a bit, but the concept of him being a cyborg remained the same. And ROM was a cheaply manufactured electronic toy because they want to kind of cash in on that idea, especially with robots being quite popular at the time. Star Wars had just came out. pretty much like a few years prior. So anything they could do with robots or cyborgs, or that was the leading like selling point. But ROM as a toy was not met with much success at all. It only sold, I believe, around, I think it was 200,000 to 300,000 copies or units within the U.S. And he only had like a few points of articulation, and the main gimmick with him being an electronic toy is that he had some LED lights on his eyes and jetpack, and even his neutralizer, which is his main weapon. I think he originally also had green eyes, but I guess they were more difficult to manufacture, so they decided to go with red eyes instead. So that's why we kind of know ROM for having his red eyes today, and it kind of plays into how they wanted to cheaply manufacture this toy as cheap as possible. But in an effort to help sell the toy, Parker Brothers decided to license the character to Marvel Comics, who having ROM star in his own book in 1979, which was fully integrated into the Marvel Universe with his own mythology. And the book was titled ROM Spaceknight. The series was written by Bill Mantlo and initially illustrated by famous Marvel Comics artist Sal Buscema. I believe I said his name correctly. If not, I apologize. The comic series ran over for 6 years, from 1979 to 1986, with 75 issues, and not including the 4 annuals that would release coincide with it. But the comic series managed to outlast the very toy that it was created to support. And a little bit about ROM and his lore. The character is an alien knight from the planet Galador. He's part of an ancient order dedicated to fighting evil across the universe. More exactly, he was created or made to fight dire raves. But yeah, his origin story involves being transformed into a space knight after being mortally wounded by the evil dire raves, which are malevolent, shape-shifting extraterrestrials intent on, I guess you would say, universal spanning, I guess, domination. But the transformation granted ROM enhanced strength, advanced weaponry, and a suit of technological gadgets, making him a formidable protector of galactic peace. But upon cancellation of the comic series due to low sales, Marvel's licensing rights eventually expired, and Parker Brothers eventually abandoned the IP overall. But Hasbro later came in and purchased Parker Brothers, and by default were able to own the intellectual property of ROM. And then Hasbro subsequently licensed the publishing rights for many years later. We went on for like 3 decades without having any kind of real ROM content, but for a new 3-issue comic book miniseries to IDW, which was already producing comic books based on other Hasbro IPs like Transformers and G.I. Joe and even Micronauts. But yeah, I think ROM got around, 15 issues from the IDW series in 2016. But for a long time, the licensing issues between Marvel, since they own the rights to the characters and concepts that were presented in the original comic books, Hasbro still held the rights to ROM ever since they bought out Parker Brothers. So for the longest time, Marvel wasn't able to do anything with ROM unless they got the approval of Hasbro, and Hasbro couldn't do any movies or comics based around ROM because they couldn't strike a deal. But several years ago, Marvel was able to it was announced that they were able to fully publish an omnibus of 3 of them, actually, I think 3 different volumes, to the original ROM comics of the 80s. And that's when it gave me a little glimmer of hope that we would eventually see a full-blown ROM action figure. And until last year, they announced that ROM would be getting his very own Marvel Legends figure. It was like just 2 worlds collide in the best way possible. But yeah, that's a little bit of ROM's history. It is so fascinating and just really interesting. I just don't know any other character that started off as a toy, then became a comic character that had his whole backstory fleshed out through that. It wasn't just like ROM was a comic character initially and then they made him a toy, like some of the other Marvel heroes we know of. So yeah, I'm very pleased to have the chance to talk about it. And yeah, especially when it came to just ROM was just a selling point originally that was just expanded upon. So yeah, that's a bit of ROM's history. Okay, so now we're going to get into the details and articulation that's on ROM. I'll also get into a little bit, but for size comparisons, but ROM is incredibly tall. I had a little bit of trouble trying to fit him in the frame here properly to show him off. But ROM looks fantastic. I mean, they did essentially a one for one of his design, straight from the original books. I mean, this is one of the covers here of ROM Annual 2. Hasbro went all out when it came to sculpting, because it's all new, brand new, and they just kept it so faithful. This is one of the best parts about Marvel Legends, that sometimes, even with a character that's not as popular but is cherished by those that know him, Rom deserves that treatment. I'm so just thrilled that this figure turned out as good as it did. Because I was just happy when they announced him last summer at San Diego Comic-Con, I believe, that they were just making a ROM figure. I mean, look, I wasn't expecting for the articulation or the detail to be as grand as it is. Hasbro just didn't hold back, and you wish that they do it for every one of their figures. But regardless, it is so great to have a truly great ROM figure here. I'm just gonna flip through some other comics that, just to give the idea that they were right on the money when it came to ROM. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. I'm so happy about it. So yeah, ROM is painted in silver. His plastic is not in silver. So like we've seen where they do, like, it kind of comes out like the marbling. Or when they have like characters that are basically like, think of the Molten Man figure we got a few years back, if anyone remembers that. They didn't just paint gold over the sculpt. They just basically molded them in the plastic, so make it like a shine, but you have to like the marbling and swirl. ROM does not have that. He is basically painted entirely. So I think the previous figure that had this treatment, I mean, the Silver Surfer figure we got with the Galactus HasLab, not to this extent. It was a bit of a different tank. No, they didn't mold that in. I'm thinking of the Walgreens exclusive Silver Surfer. The Ursa Major Wave comic book Ultron figure had that same treatment with the paint apps. So ROM really shines through here. Just to give you guys a whole turnaround here. And ROM doesn't have like crazy detail, but his design is harkened so back to like 70s and 80s sci-fi, because he's kind of bulky in a way, and then like a blocky like head and chest, and then he's got like these muscular different shaped arms and the legs, but it's very like 80s sci-fi, 70s sci-fi inspired design. I feel like he just represents so many of like designs and characters of that time. He's very unique in that way. But as you can see, like on the front here, he's got some paint apps. You got the red little panels there. I don't know like the exact names, or even if there is one for the certain parts of armor or detail on his chest, but the sculpt work is just incredibly well done. And you can see if we flip around to the back here, ROM has a jetpack, and we got some of the red lights there. And then it looks like his jetpack's about to start, so they gave like a red like spray on there. That looks I'm out of frame. That looks awesome. I absolutely love that. And you can see ROM has a nice butt too. Side point. But yeah, if you look at ROM's head, they printed on his eyes. They give a little bit of that flash. I love that. It looks so cool. It's very simple, but very well done. Printed on there. I love that. So that's like the real only other colors you have for ROM. It's just mostly the red, silver, the red over the black visor on his helmet. But he just looks fantastic. Just proportionally well done. It's just a well done sculpt. I'm just blown away by how well he came out. And now looking a little bit into the articulation, it is insane of how well this guy can move. So if we look at the head, right, he has a hinge underneath the head here, but also kind of like similar we've had with other figures recently. Think of like the Doctor Doom figure kind of has that, but the head tilt, he can do some head tilting here. You move his head from the right to the left. It's got a ball down there, so I think he can, and yeah, the way he can move up is incredible. It makes it great for when you're having him do flying poses. I can get it back a little bit further. And then you can have him look down. Not too bad. I think that's pretty good for ROM's height and then what he would probably stare down at another character he's talking to that's shorter than him. That works out great. I love that. But yeah, you can have him look all around. I try to avoid hitting whatever like it's attached to pipes to his jetpack on his shoulders here because I don't want to scrape the paint. I got a few smudges on ROM's face there that he came with, but nothing crazy or that ruins the figure at all. When it comes to the arms, you can put them up about this high. Yep, about that high, so that's pretty great. No butterfly joints. I kind of anticipated that. It's kind of hard to incorporate into a sculpt like this. You can twist the bicep 360 degrees. He's got double jointed pinless arms, and they can come in all the way. They can probably make ROM salute there. That looks great. Excellent. And then for his hand, for the set that I have on right now, he has a different set of hands with vertical hinges, but this has a horizontal, so you can move that back and forth. So you can move the hand 360 degrees. And then getting into a little lower down, this is probably one of the best parts of the figure for the articulation, is that ROM has a substantial amount of being able to move forward, look down like that outside of his head, but like moving the chest forward, that is insane. It's probably better than the Spider-Man figure has, and then you can move his back. Even with the jetpack, it's a little bit restricted, but you can move the top half, and I meant to show that, the diaphragm joint, a little bit back, and that's not bad at all, because he can still move his head back, and it's still, man, that looks great. I'm surprised just once again how well this turns out. But yes, he does have a diaphragm joint. He has an ab crunch and then a diaphragm joint, so you would not think that with this sculpt that you'd be able to pose him around or just be one piece here, or you just have an ab crunch. That's fine. No, you actually can turn ROM all around, and it makes it seamless with the backpack. It's just crazy to get him into some like poses, like have him like on the side like this. It's just insane that he is able to have this kind of articulation, honestly. So yeah, ab crunch goes in that far, and then you can get him to go about that far back, which, like I said, is not that bad. His legs are not, they don't drop down, but they can kick forward about that much. And then you can have ROM practically kick his own butt. It's a little off, but pretty dang close. He's got big old legs, so it's all right. I'm going to accept it. And then he does have not thigh swivel, but it's like near the knees. I mean, it is a thigh swivel, but it's just not in the upper part. We've had this more and more commonly with Marvel Legends figures. I think the Warbird figure has that, the one that came out last year. But yeah, you got full rotation here, 360 degrees. Make it very seamless and within the design, so there's no cuts on the top here. That looks great. I think that's a great design choice because it'll just add another line to already what ROM has near on his lower regions. So yeah, and then going down to the feet, ROM can move his foot back that much and forward, and then ankle pivot or little rockers there. Pretty great stuff. He's got little holes in the bottom, so if you have a display, you want to put him on a stand, you can do that. But yeah, ROM's articulation is phenomenal. I'm just blown away by how well you can pose him. And look how great he looks. He just looks absolutely awesome. So that is mostly it for the details and articulation. And now let's take a look at ROM's accessories. Okay, so the first two accessories I would like to talk about are ROM's weapons, his blasters that he comes with. They actually have names, believe it or not. Now, I know that the bigger one that is in his right hand and has the blast effect on, that is ROM's main weapon. That is the neutralizer. He uses that to take out any dire wraiths that he sees or any enemy that is trying to attack him. That is his main weapon. And then the other one in his left hand is the energy analyzer, I believe. I might put a little foot up on the screen of like a little bio of that maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that's a smaller one because they're not exactly the same. They look pretty much the same. This is the analyzer a little smaller, the neutralizer is a little bigger. They're great sculpts. They have this like red translucent plastic on it, and then they have some great sculpts. Very bulky, doesn't look like a normal like space blaster you would imagine, but great sculpt. Got some little like tech greebling there, pretty cool. And you got like these little panels. It's cool. I like it. It's ROM. And then it's, like I said, mostly painted the same as ROM, but by the handle, you can see they cut off the paint a little bit where it's just the neutral gray color they have underneath all of it. So right now I have ROM with his holding hands, and it basically just slips right on there. It's snug. It won't fly off. It's great. And then looking at the energy analyzer, pretty much same deal. Cool sculpt. You got some greebling there. I like it. It's cool. And then, yeah, there is a blast effect. Now, you only get one, but these both fit on either one of these weapons, the blasters. It's a cool effect. I like it. It very much fits the neutralizer and the analyzer. I think it fits better for the neutralizer because it's more like a beam shot, but it almost looks like a Cyclops effect from X-Men, which I like. I don't know if anyone's tried that yet. Maybe that could work. Maybe it's a bit too wide. But all you do is that it just slips right on that peg, and it's on there. It looks sick. I absolutely love it. So yeah, cool blasters. You know, you can have ROM dual wielding basically if you want, and I love that option. Glad they included both of them. So yeah, ROM needs to have his neutralizer if he's gonna fight dire wraiths across the galaxy. So yeah, that's it for these two accessories. Now let's take a look at some of the other ones. Actually, before I move on, I do want to talk about his hands. I kind of mentioned it briefly, but he has the two gripping hands that both have a vertical hinge. And you notice about like ROM's fingers that he does have an outline for his fingers to be separated, but usually he has like mittens. It's kind of funny. I don't know why. It's just part of his design. I think it kind of makes him unique in that way. He kind of distinguishes his own hands. They're unique from everyone else's. So, but you can see like the outlines of fingers there. But these are mostly to hold his blasters. But ROM does also come because he's part of this mini comic book wave. He comes with his mini comic book, and it's based off the cover we talked about in the box. This is ROM #1. This is definitely my favorite we've gotten of all the covers, just because it's very unique. I don't know. It's a cool cover. It's ROM. I kind of want to use it in one of my other videos as like a prop. I'm probably going to use it for that. But print came out pretty good. But like I said, if you saw my Adam Warlock review, these mini comic books are really just useless because, you know what, I would have loved to have another like fisted hand or open hand to come with ROM. But unfortunately, we just got this instead. But I guess for this, it's fine with me. I don't know. I'm just not huge on this. And then if we flip around to the back, Marvel Legends series, and then you got the Hasbro logo. Yeah, they make it like a comic book. You got like little sculpted staples there, and then they try to make it look like a page pages are divided on the spine, or like all around it. It's cool, just not, for me. I don't think everyone else really cares for it because they're trying to phase out with BAFs. But you can have ROM hold it with either one of his gripping hands. And it looks kind of fun holding it, but it's just not a very useful accessory, especially when I don't think we're ever going to get a ROM figure like this ever again. So I think they should have taken the time or the advantage to just include as many hands as you could that makes sense for a ROM figure. But I guess we can't have everything we want, right? But yeah, I just want to show that. And then the last two things are his other hands, like I was just saying, I wish we got more of. We get one fisted hand. Right fisted hand for ROM, and then one left open hand. So you can have ROM wave, be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then, if he's gonna get really angry, he's gonna punch afterwards. I don't know if ROM's that violent, but only towards the dire wraiths. But yeah, that's basically it for ROM and his accessories and ROM himself. Now let's take a look at some size comparisons. Okay, so the first one I wanted to do was just with another figure that comes in the same wave as ROM, who I was also incredibly excited to have in a review I did on previously. Adam Warlock. So you can see it gives you a little bit more of an idea because Adam's kind of a standard height when it comes to Legends figures, and then Rom, like I said, is much taller, especially with his body sculpt, longer arms, longer legs. But these guys look pretty cool next to each other. I don't think they ever cross paths in the comics, but they're both cosmic characters, so it would be really cool one day to see them together in a comic. I would love to see that, but who knows? I don't know. But yeah, I thought this was a fun one just to show. This is another fun one for me to show as well, but I thought it made sense because when I think of ROM, I think of Master Chief quite a bit because they have kind of similar stories of where they're kind of enhanced. Well, ROM's more or less an alien, more so than a human, but they're both enhanced cybernetic beings, if I want to say that right. Basically, I'm thinking Master Chief of Master Chief when I think of ROM because they're both on enhanced beings with technology, with suits of armor, and they're made to go around the galaxy essentially to kill a alien species. I doubt that Halo was at all inspired by ROM the Spaceknight, but if it's true, that's pretty dang cool. But yeah, this is the Halo 4 Jazzwares Master Chief. Fortunately, that line has been discontinued, but I absolutely love it. And I don't love Halo 4. I actually really haven't played it myself, but the design is not half bad, and the figure is pretty cool. I really like this. This is probably my favorite Master Chief figure that I own. And I just wanted to compare next to ROM because they're essentially the same height, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, that's Master Chief and ROM. Now, you might have caught this earlier, but I did show off a ROM comic book that showed ROM working with the X-Men. Kind of, really. I mean, sometimes he's fighting them, and then sometimes he's not. But this was the ROM number 18 I was showing, which has the brown suit Wolverine there, and then ROM working against fighting. I think the guy's called Hybrid. Very cool design, actually. Yeah, I just wanted to have these guys together, especially how short Wolverine is compared to ROM. It's kind of funny seeing them next to each other. Thatch did a great review on that Wolverine figure from the Secret Wars wave. I highly recommend that you check that out. So yeah, now let's get on to our final comparison, which is always Amazing Friends Spider-Man. And yeah, so you can see Spider-Man's about to ROM's shoulder, practically. Looks great. I know these guys met a few times. I don't know formally, actually, but Spider-Man's basically teamed up with everybody, in comics. So, yeah, it's cool. Just give you a standard idea. So that is all I really have for size comparisons. So now let's wrap up this review. So that's going to do it for this review. I am so happy I was able to talk about this figure. I highly recommend him if you have any interest in how ROM looks in design, but also I think he makes for an incredibly fun figure to mess with. He's a fun fiddle figure. I think he's one of the best Legends figures we've had, not only this year, but in quite a moment. I mean, we've been getting some great Legends figures, especially last year was pretty great. We've been doing pretty decent this year, but man, ROM is one of those head contenders for this year. I am just still blown away by how amazing he looks and is. So even if you don't really know of comic lore, I mean, you can do a quick search online, but also kind of like what I said earlier, you could still have fun with this character. And ROM is a perfect example of one of the things I love about Legends most. Outside of them digging into obscure characters, it's also giving the awareness to them. So it makes you curious of I want to get this figure. It looks cool, has great articulation, and it makes you want to do the research to kind of find more about this character. And then you're like, oh, man, you're really just, I don't know. I think that's part of what makes this hobby enjoyable. And ROM is a great example of that. So I highly recommend him. I do, even if you don't know much about him, I still recommend getting him. He's a very unique character. I think he brings a unique presence to any shelf because he is like a throwback in a way of design. I don't know how they can make a better ROM figure from this point on, but it's been a long time coming for me wanting to have another ROM figure, just wanting a ROM figure, because for a while I didn't know it was possible because of licensing issues. I know that Hasbro has owned the rights for ROM for so long, but also with meshing that with Marvel Comics because they, I kind of went into the whole thing earlier, but it's just this guy's kind of a miracle that he came out the way he did and that he even came out. Because this was a huge, like, almost like a bucket list figure that I've wanted to get. And it's very entirely fulfilling to finally have him. And especially how great he is. But that's enough for me for today. But I thank you all for watching this review. If you have this figure, what do you think of him? Do you like him as much as I do? Do you think I'm kind of like maybe overselling him? Maybe he's not that great to you. Or do you have any kind of attachment or, history of ROM? Let me know in the comments below. And yeah, once again, thank you all for watching. And until next time, take care.